multiplying binomials. So let's look at what binomial we're going to be multiplying now. So I'm going to give you something that involves a little bit of fractions, and remember, this is nothing complicated. The coefficients, in other words these numbers before these letters, you multiply them exactly the same as you multiply whole numbers, and in this case you're just going to be multiplying a fraction with a fraction. So if I gave you something like a third multiplied by 2 over 7, fractions are very easy things to multiply, because you multiply the top with the top. 1 times 2 is 2, and you multiply the bottoms with the bottoms, or the denominators with the denominators, and the numerators with the numerators. So the denominators are 3 times 7, and that's going to be 21, and that's my answer. It's so simple. Okay, so let's get back to our example over here, and I'm going to say it's a third A plus a half B, right? And that's going to be multiplied by a half A minus a third B. Okay, just to make life a little bit easier, let's see what this is going to look like. And let's do it with the long method, which means I'm going to take each term, take the first term and multiply it by that entire bracket, and then the second term multiplied by the entire bracket. So let's do this. That's going to be 1/3 A, right? And this is equivalent to saying A over a third, and we'll gain more exposure to that as time goes by. And that's a half A minus a third B. Okay. And then on this side we're going to say it's plus a half B multiplied by a half A minus a third B. Okay, that is equivalent to the following. So let's see. This multiplied by this, and then this multiplied by this one multiplied by this one, that one multiplied by that one over there. Okay, so what I really want to do here is I want to say a third A times a half A, and I'm just going to bring this up on a new sheet. A third A multiplied by a half A. The first thing you've got to do over here is you've got to multiply a third times a half, and that is equal to 1 over 3 times 1 over 2, and this is a fraction times a fraction. Very easy work. Multiply the tops 1 by 1, and 3 times 2 gives me 6, and there we go. Bob's your uncle. Right, so this is equal to 1 over 6, and then A times A is just A squared. Do you see that? Take a moment, pause, look at this. A lot of students tend to not know how to multiply fractions because they're so dependent on the calculator, but you should know it without a calculator. Okay, so let's look at this. A third times a half, 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 2 is 6. And then we say A times A, that's going to give me A squared. Let's do the next one. A third multiplied by a third, but first multiply out the signs. That's a positive, that's a negative. A positive times a negative is a negative. 1 times 1 is 1, and 3 times 3 is 9, so it's 1/9 when I look at a third times a third. And A multiplied by B is just A times B. Then I'm going to do this one on this side. This is going to be a half times a half, so 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. And B times A is the same as A times B, and therefore I get minus 1/9 plus a quarter, AB. And then I multiply the next one, and I say a positive times a negative is a negative. A half multiplied by a third, it's 1 times 1 is just 1, and 2 times 3, which is 6. And B times B is just B squared. Okay, so I'm going to take a shortcut and work out minus 1/9 plus 1/4, 0.25 plus negative 1 over 9, and that's going to give me 5 over 36, right? Now, I've cheated a little bit because I've done this part on the calculator, and the reason I'm doing that on the calculator is that the purpose of this lesson is not to really show you how to add fractions, because that involves the lowest common multiple, which is easy works that you can do. In this case, we just want to see how do you multiply out the binomial. So we added the like terms, and I'm going to say that this thing over here turns out to be 5 over 36 when I add minus 1/9 plus a quarter, AB, right, minus 1/6B squared. Okay. Now, I'm going to stop there with this one, but I want you to try example number 4 using the other method we also learned. And remember how the other method works. The other method says if I have 1/3 A plus a half B multiplied by 1/2 A minus a third B, what I'm going to really do is I'm going to say this one multiplied by this one multiplied by this one, and then I'm going to work with the inners, which is that multiplied by that, and this multiplied by this, and then I add the like terms, and I want you to check that you get exactly the same answer as this thing over here. So that's example number 4.